Hello, everyone, and welcome in once again. It is time for the Behind the Bench Coaches Show. I'm Tom Callahan, joined by Jerome Boom Boom Bechard, River Dragons head coach. Nolan Slachetka, this week's player guest, will be joining us shortly here. And boom, welcome back.
Yeah.
Long time no see.
Yeah, sure.
Couple hours?
Sure, yeah, a couple hours, but a good week of hockey last week. It's warmed up, balmy, 65 today maybe?
I don't know. It's supposed to hit 70 tomorrow, I think.
It felt really nice today.
Yeah.
I mean, nice to get some, I don't know if we're going to get any sun or if it's just going to be warm tomorrow.
You know what? I'll take it either way
Yeah.
at this point, especially after Blue Ridge. It was cold.
The old
Blue Ridge.
wind was blowing up there, and it was pretty chilly.
You know what? So, okay, me as a Buffalo guy, people always say, doesn't snow bother you, all that snow? I'm like, it's not the snow.
Yeah,
You can get rid of snow when the wind blows.
I guess there was a little bit of snow
That's
there,
when it
but I
gets
mean,
stupid.
Yeah, no, it's the wind that gets you. I mean, it's the wind that gets you, and same thing here. Like, I mean, it only gets whatever it is, 22, 25 or whatever. But if that wind, like 25 degrees, isn't bad. When that wind's blowing, it cuts right through you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't mind it warming up a little bit. The other thing I like, though, is when we turn the corner into spring, which is not too far away, that always reminds me of playoff weather.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, and it's tax season. Oh boy, I got a couple weeks of work there just to get everything together for that. But yeah, no, so that means it's springtime right around the corner. Yep, that's for sure.
There you go. And I'll just put in a plug for one of our supporters of our broadcast, BKI Accounting. Does a lot of work for small businesses. So if you're looking for a place to go, try BKI Accounting.
I should ask Kristen. So if I just bring this big pile of paper, here you go to work.
What do you do with this? Have you ever seen the movie Dodgeball?
No.
With there's a scene in there. The people who have seen it know where I'm going with this. Where basically they go in, they're gonna close down the guy's gym if he doesn't pay. It was like $50,000. And she just walks into a closet and it's just papers everywhere.
Yeah.
Is that what your place looks like?
Similar, but not that bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So someone might have their work cut out for them.
Yeah.
That's all right.
No.
Well, so that said, man, I was gonna make a taxing joke about this series because both games went to overtime. We don't go to overtime. That's not a thing the River Dragons do. Yeah,
and you know what? We really shouldn't have, I guess, when it comes down to it. I mean, and we'll when Nolan becomes part of the broadcast, it just happened to be a really good pick by you because he was, in on the game winner, but he was also in on, or was one of the problems of giving up the tying goal with, I don't know how much time roughly.
Oh man,
5-6 minutes maybe.
Yeah, it was late.
So
potential to be the GOAT.
So
right there.
We get to ask him what goes through that little scrambled egg mind of his, kind of thing. So, but no, you know what? And then I'll give Zemi, their coach. He played for us. I'll give Zemi some credit because he's got his guys playing pretty disciplined hockey, and he's got a couple European guys that I kind of make fun of because one, I don't think they speak much English, or if any. But they just keep coming, and they just keep coming at you, and to almost the fault that they look kind of stupid. If I can not hold my pull my punches,
yes, you did not mince words.
But they just keep coming. Like they just keep coming. I'm like, dude, like I mean, just chill out, man. Like sometimes you should know when to just kind of pull back a little bit.
Right.
I know that we had a little kerfuffle there. With Basie and I think it was Dolkart being one of those guys that I think Underwood just kind of stiff armed him or put him down, and he goes down like a bag of bricks. But I mean, dude, you're somewhat out of control and kind of somewhat reckless, and which I don't mind, but that's what's going to happen. And, you can't just cry wolf and say, no English, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you do.
You can't just cry wolf.
Yeah, well, nice.
Because he's another one.
He's another one that, but he understands it. And it was kind of funny because I ran into him prior to the game. And he asked me, Coach, can I talk to you? I'm like, yeah. And like I think picked him in the expansion
draft.
In the dispersal draft,
that's
right?
Correct,
and he asked, he goes, what happened? What happened and why did you pick me? I'm like, well, first of all, I didn't pick you. Jeff picked you, which is fine. But I mean, I don't think, and then Jeff turned around and traded him there and whatever. I think got some hotel rooms or something. So
yeah, it's always something. And let's face it, I mean, boom, coming into camp, and I don't know what you would think of a player like that, good, bad, indifferent, but man, we had a lot of guys coming into camp this year.
Yeah.
We had a lot, and then we kept getting more.
Yeah. No, and I don't particularly like that. I mean, I like to have a nucleus of guys, and it's good and bad because I mean, I want a competitive camp. I want guys to feel they have to work for what they get, and you know what? Last year means nothing, and how you show up to training camp means everything, and like nothing's going to be given to you type thing. And as far as that goes, it's pretty good to have, and really ideal camp. I want, if I have 10 forwards, 10 forward 60, ideally, it's nice to have 10, 12, 3 or 4 forwards fighting for a job and, a couple defensemen fighting for a job, pushing everybody. And, ultimately, 3 goalies would be great. And just, have a little bit of competition, nothing crazy, but I mean, I think that goes a long way. But anyways, yeah, Wolf really didn't fit into our game plan.
Would it be worth it for this league to maybe not go back to what the roster size was, but maybe go to 20 as opposed to 19? Would that be something that would be, helpful or judicious for the league in any way to have maybe that one extra guy?
Yeah, I don't know. If you follow the league, they tend to overcompensate on everything that they do.
They go to the extremes. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You go from 25-man roster to 18-man roster to whatever. Like, I mean, as a coach, I don't think and there are players because they're there. I don't think anybody comes to the FPHL to sit in the stands and wait for their opportunity.
Right. So
on that token, on my thought process is no, I don't think you should have a 25-man roster. I think there should be some, and with what they did this year, 18 with, you should have an 18-man roster. I don't mind an 18-man roster with a couple IR spots and or maybe a reserve player here and there, something like that. So ultimately, you do have 20 guys here,
right,
or something like that. I don't know. And then I guess like the league itself, depending on if you look at how everything is kind of coming down the pipeline. You got the NHL, American League, East Coast League, Southern Pro League, and then us. Not too many of our guys are going from the Federal League to the East Coast League. There are, depending on, geographic areas and this and that, it can happen, but not very often. But, the SPHL has a little bit more of a problem because most of the East Coast leagues, that's their first call is the SP. A couple guys might call us, but for the most part not. And then the SP guys call us. And, when it comes down, when I say us, the Federal Hockey League guys, when it comes down to us, to me, if the Federal Hockey, if Columbus River Dragons, there's not very many guys that go up to the SP. And it's because our guys are somewhat taken care of and no need to go to the SP because we are the SP. And we're as good, we could probably go play and we'd be all right. Now, some other teams in our league, first time somebody calls, they're gone because they aren't getting treated the way they're supposed to be treated as a pro hockey player or whatever, this and that. So first time they get a phone call, they're out. That's an issue.
Okay, so while we're here, I want to read something.
Oh, boy. I don't want to get in trouble.
Don't worry. The recorded version of the
and
show.
Boy, Slats, I'm glad you're here because you're going to get hacked. You're going to get hacked on it.
Nolan Slachetka has joined us. My fault that he was not here on time. I forgot to send him the address. So the FPHL on January 22nd put out a release titled FPHL Clarifies Its Disciplinary Policy from January 4th. So that was when they talked about the suspensions, the coaches get half the length of the players. Blah, blah, blah. We've covered that. Well, so the league wants to clarify it was not a rule change. And there have been numerous issues. This is from the document. Had numerous issues with teams allowing their coaches to send players in the game for violent physical attacks on opposing players, causing a large number of injuries to players, created an unsafe environment. I'm paraphrasing. The league has stressed the importance of player safety, countless discussions with team owners in an attempt to curb these violent acts. While hockey is a contact sport, it can be played in a controlled manner. So FPHL Director of Player Safety Dave Jackson also reiterated his concern. But what they're saying here is that the rules have been there. The only change that was made mid-season in response to multiple injuries incurred in several games, as well as a couple of separate bench-clearing incidents, was to allocate a specific number of games to the offense. So the NHL rulebook calls for a 10-game suspension. The FPHL thought that was too severe, reduced it to automatic 6, suspending coaches for 3, as opposed to a large fine amount. And the coaches' suspensions were put in play more to put the onus of the responsibility on the players, the actions of the players onto the coaching staff. So that was passed unanimously by the Board of Governors on the 4th, went into effect on the 4th. Of course, a couple of teams had something to say in social media about it, which is also a completely different can of worms that I don't necessarily have to open up right now. But then, Boomer, pursuant to that, we see the Binghamton Black Bears changing their head coach and assistant coach, and the Watertown Wolves changing their head coach and assistant coach, with obvious nod to the fact that they don't want their head coach to get suspended. Let's just call that what it is. It's an attempt to circumvent the rules. What's going on?
I don't know.
Are we just going to allow this? Well, and by the way, currently the answer is yes. That may change in the future, but what?
Yeah, so I don't, as far as the clarification goes, what
did the league tell you as a coach?
Just whatever that was.
They just pretty much read you that riot act.
Yeah, never really. Well, we have a conference call tomorrow about everything, I guess, as far as the coaches goes. So, you know what? I mean, I agree that with an NHL suspension, as far as the guys coming out of the penalty box or leaving the bench, 10 games, that is synonymous with an NHL
82-game season.
82-game season. So 10, 82, hence drop it to 6, whatever. But I don't know. What I don't know, and I mean, I don't know, it's been a while since I've been teed up and suspended, but I mean, I don't know if the actual games for, Nolan Slachetka leaving my bench gets an automatic 6. I know in the SP it was, but I can't remember what the rules were in that league as far as you get 6, I get 3. I don't think that was an automatic, and I don't know if that is accurate as far as that goes. I don't mind the rule, actually. My job is to have control over my guys. And you know what? If I can't control my guy from jumping over the bench and getting involved in something, then I should be teed up.
So
now in the SP, when I was coaching and I was a general manager and I was on the board of governors, they didn't look very kindly when I would do my thing. He's like, how you, like, they would come at me. They're like, you can't do that. Like, you're a board of governor, you're representative of the league, you're the general manager of this hockey team. You can't run on the ice and throw water bottles and chase a referee down. I'm like, well, sorry, but I mean, at that point, I'm not a governor and I'm not this, and I'm doing what I need to do.
I'm a coach. Right. So
I mean, you know, at that point we had some issues. I think I was grandfathered in. I don't think that you can do that anymore as far as being everything.
You were the Craig McTavish,
I guess,
of the SPHL.
So, you know, not nearly as bad as you know, head coach, player, and general manager. Like somebody else we know, type thing. So I don't know. It's I mean, I totally get where the SP was coming from. I'm like, I get it, guys. I mean, you know.
Well, that's the other thing. To your point, is there are some buddies else in this league. I think Matt Graham kind of does the same thing in Port Huron. Joe Pace Jr. Mississippi.
Right,
and there's a lot of that.
Well,
happening.
I know, and that's really like whenever as a coach. Whenever I got suspended, I mean, one, as a player, I took it really, really, you know, it was upon me that all these little kids are, you know, I'm an idol and, you know, they're emulating me and they're this and that. So, you know, I took that seriously. And then all of a sudden, as a player, obviously, you know, little gray area, you can get away with more. And then all of a sudden you're the leader of the team, you're the coach, and you're still doing that. Now I felt even more onus to be a better role model and this and that. So when that did happen, I felt really bad. But at the same time, I mean, more times than not, I did it for a reason. I just didn't do it to do it. We were down by 3-4 goals, and I'm like, okay, my team's not playing well. Like, these guys don't really give a crap. I'm like, boys, hey, you ain't in it. You guys are on your own. You guys figure it out. And then all of a sudden, when I did freak out, I'm off. And then all of a sudden, we're down by one. We tie the game. We come back and either tie it or win it. I'm like, more times than not, that's calculated. That doesn't happen in our league. More times than not, guys are just going out to put on a show.
So last question before we hit the break here. In your opinion, will this have the desired effect of cutting down on the chicanery, shall we say, league-wide?
Well, and then I think the other important rule that I think was changed was before, you know, Slats does something stupid, he gets suspended. I mean, I can still dress 18 guys.
Right, and now you lose a guy on the roster.
You lose a guy, and I don't. I'm not sure if it's a lengthy suspension or if it's just a suspension. I do agree with that. Like, I mean, at that point, like, I mean, the team's got to pay for something. Like, I mean, why should they be able to dress a full lineup when your guy freaked out? And, you know, like, I mean, I don't mind that. Play shorthanded. And then at the end of the day, hey, well, it's going to hurt our product because we're playing with 12 guys. I'm like, well, control your guys.
And you've said in the past, if it's the right 12 guys, you'd rather go into battle with them than...
Hey, I remember, like I said, I remember, I don't know, a couple of shows ago or whatever, I mean, we were on a 10, 12 game losing streak, and I had the guys that I wanted, but we weren't playing well. We weren't doing this and that, and all of a sudden we had a bench clear. Just happened to be in Winston-Salem, and, you know, 8 of the guys that got suspended were the right guys, and I played my top 10 players and finally won a game. And then after that, I think we went on to win like 12, 15 in a row and went from last place to third or whatever and snuck in, and we ended up winning it, type thing.
Hey, all you need is a seat at the dance. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take our first break of the show here. When we come back, Nolan Slachetka is here, and we will go ahead and have a chat with him and talk to him about the OT winner. I know Boomer has something else he wants to bring up, but we'll get to that. We'll come back with more in a moment. This is the Behind the Bench Coaches Show. All right, welcome back on the Behind the Bench Coaches Show. Tom Callahan here, head coach Jerome Bechard, and this week's player guest, Nolan Slachetka, joining us. And Nolan, welcome in. Get right up on the microphone, man. Those things are directional and sensitive, unless you have a booming voice like me. So how you doing?
Pretty good. How about you guys?
Yeah, we're hanging in there.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming down. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Wanted to talk a little bit. Let's just go ahead and start. Usually I talk to the guys about, when they started playing and how they get into hockey. We'll get to that with you. But overtime winning goal here. So on the breakaway, and you were telling me after the game, like, that was a really long shift for you.
Yeah, no, I was looking for any opportunity to change. I saw that they were bringing the puck back into the zone, so I was like, well, this would be a bad time to change. But luckily, they kind of just threw a pizza right in the middle, and I was able to read it pretty well and just got my boots moving, and luckily it went in, surprisingly.
Hey, well, number one, you got a shot away.
Yeah.
Number two, you hit the net. So thank you for both those from Boomer, I'm sure.
5-hole?
Five
Oh, yeah.
hole. Went 5-hole on him.
Jonathan
Wicks
Tate special.
Wicks ran a really nice pick in the neutral zone.
Yeah,
I just got in his way a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
Now, let's get to the real crux of it. Let's get to the real
turn the show over
crux.
to Boomer.
So, I mean, yes, I'm so glad that you got the GW. My question is, we shouldn't have been in that situation. What happened prior to that for their tying goal?
I mean, yeah, no, it definitely can never happen again, but
Well,
you gotta give credit where credit's due. It was kind of a really good pass. Splits me and Shinkarik. Yeah, no, I mean, I really didn't think he was going to catch it. Props to him for catching it.
Prior to that, earlier on in the game, a similar somewhat play transpired, and I got the boys were somewhat vocal on the bench, and I kind of said something too, and he's like, "Hey, I knew he was there. I got it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know you got it, but you got lucky." And then all of a sudden this happens.
Yeah, not as lucky on that one, but
anyhow, I mean, so. All right, obviously happy, and you know what? I don't know, had a hunch of, and if I look at the guys on our bench, like, I mean, again, I can have, just about everybody can play 3-on-3. Like, I mean, if I look at it, and the stats say I should be probably, going with J-Mac and whoever and double shifting him. But, I mean, I think there's so much talent and there's so much, hunches as far as a couple of young guys with an older guy and this and that. And you've been around and, all the way down to the back end. Like, I mean, every single one of my defensemen are pretty good skaters and this and that. So, I don't know. It's just kind of hunching, I guess, when it comes down to. But so today in practice, I did the Slachetka drill. How do you spell it? Slachetka. I did the Slachetka drill, which it's really it was more 5-on-5 stuff. But I mean, not really working on our breakout, which we did, but really telling my guys to cheat on our breakouts and stretch and this and that. And I mean, it was good and bad because we're cheating either way, this and that, but really wasn't working in our breakouts, more so working for, Slats and our D to somewhat try to track and stop the madness from happening,
right.
Which it didn't happen, I guess, in practice. Like, it was just going back and forth, and I'm like, oh my God, I just pulled my hair out. But anyways, I mean, we and again, we don't practice that way, and we don't know. I don't know how to practice that.
The good news is, down by 3, with 10 minutes to go in any game, you know what you're going to do now.
Well, I mean, I don't. I mean, anyways.
Not that we have not been down by 3 in any game, I don't think, but you know that. Sorry, you were going to say Sledge?
No, go for it.
Well, I just it's kind of interesting that you try to expose the weakness, and you end up exposing the weakness. So now, how do you fix it? Right? I mean, that's where we're at. So
Well, and I mean, I don't know.
so
again,
we know what it is.
Well, again, it kind of like I look at it, and I do the same thing. Like we played men's league last night. I mean, we got a good team. We won 7-0, but and I played D, which, I mean, most of the guys that are out on the ice are quicker and better skaters than me, but they haven't played. So I try to gap up and cheat a little bit as far as that goes, which, I do know that guy's there, and I'm like, I don't really care if I get this pass. It doesn't really matter. But
Sometimes you don't get the pass.
sometimes I don't get the pass. Like, I mean, and that's my arrogance that gets me. And I'm like, but it's men's league, yeah, whatever. I mean, it's 7-1. I'm still going to go out in the parking lot and have a beer with my buddies. It doesn't really matter, right? But it's not that it's that attitude, but it is that attitude.
Yeah.
Huh?
No, yeah, for sure.
I mean, and I got to get rid of that attitude, because at the end of the day, I mean, if we're up by 2, I don't need my D. You should be at our far blue line. We, just keep the game in front of us. I don't need another goal. Yeah. You're not too concerned about points. There's another person out there that maybe. I mean, I don't even care. I don't even think he does care about points, but he's just motivated by going and getting involved. And I'm like, dude, just sit back and chill out, man.
But 3-1 and 3-2 are vastly different hockey games.
Right.
So I understand. All right. Well, since we got a little long in the first segment, let's wedge in another break right now. And then we're going to come back. We're going to talk with Nolan Slachetka a little bit about his hockey background. So stay tuned. There's more of the Behind the Bench Coaches Show coming your way in just a moment. All right, welcome back on the Behind the Bench Coaches Show. Tom Callahan, joined by this week's player guest, Nolan Slachetka, and head coach Jerome Bechard. And Slats, want to ask you a little bit about how'd you get started playing hockey? Who strapped the skates on you for the first time? How old were you?
I was about 3 years old. So my older cousin, he's about 29 right now. He started off playing, and me and my older brother would get to go to the rink and watch him play, and obviously it's just kind of the trickle-down effect where my brother ends up playing, and then I'm going to the rink every day with my parents, going to the early morning skates at 5 o'clock in the morning. So, yeah, obviously I wanted to get the skates on as soon as possible, and that was around 3. So I started my learn to skate around then, and then just kind of grew up playing in the Joliet area, and with all the good skating coaches there, and hopped on my first team probably when I was about 5 years old, and just never looked back then.
So that era, was that in Joliet outside of Chicago, right?
Correct.
So were the Hawks good then, or were they about to get good?
That was when they were probably about to be good. So they got Kane and Taze in 08, 07 or something like that. So or 09. So that was kind of like the start when I was really younger. I know probably when I was 10, that was when they won their first cup, and so I didn't get to enjoy the way I would like to, but hopefully these coming years they'll be pretty good, and I'll get to enjoy a Stanley Cup, being 21 and older.
Boomer, he was 10 when they won their first cup.
I know.
Yeah, that's good for you. It's magical when you're a kid though, and your team wins. I mean, it's awesome, right?
Yeah. No, and with Bedard breaking his jaw, and he's going to be out for
another 6 weeks.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. So,
Chicago's not supposed to be good yet, though. Again, like this is their upward cycle.
Well, I know, but you hate to see that kid go through that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a tough one. So Nolan, growing up, who did you want to emulate then? Who did you look up to? Were you a forward at one point, turned into a defenseman? Did you always want to be D? How'd that work?
Yeah, no, I was actually always a forward growing up. I actually started playing D my first year pro, which was 2 years ago in Watertown, and then yeah, I stuck with it and really like it a lot. I kind of regret not being a defenseman my whole life, but yeah, no, I mean, I think I adapted pretty well into the position, and yeah, I really enjoy just kind of controlling the game from the back end.
The thing, I mean, I was similar. I was a D, and converted forward. But to me, growing up as a defenseman, everything was so easy because the game was in front of you for the most part. Like, I mean, you have to work hard, get back, get the puck out, make a good quick pass, you're done, and everything's in front of you. You can always jump up, you can, join, whatever. I thought it's so much easier to play back, in my opinion, it's so much easier to play back there than as a forward. As a forward, you have to work your butt off, up and back and come back and back check and whatever. I'm like, question, who has more responsibility, a defenseman or a forward?
Yeah, and I'd say the forwards on. So, I don't want to just put it on them, but I'd say probably the forwards because they do have a big responsibility getting back, and
for sure it's the center for me.
Yeah, but I think, well, I don't know. I guess if you look at it, but if you break each position down, your defenseman has more responsibility at different, I guess it's all timing in different zones, right? So, but I mean, if you're not going to score a goal if you can't break out.
Right.
You can't break out without good defensemen.
Good first pass. Yep.
All that stuff. So if you look at it that way, who's got the most responsibility?
Yeah.
To me, defense.
That's why it's a team game.
Well, it's the ultimate team game. It's the ultimate team game, and between the most responsibility is your centerman and your defenseman, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Wingers are a dime a dozen.
Sorry, wingers.
Huh? Wingers are a dime a dozen.
Right.
Now, I mean, hey, not everyone's Guy Lafleur, right? And what's your job? There's only one Guy Lafleur. There's only one guy like that, right? So, come back to your job, and he's the go-to guy. When you're the go-to guy, then you have less responsibility on that backside kind of thing and type thing. So, I mean, ultimately, it's hockey is, to me, the most ultimate team sport there is.
And that's why I think a lot of times too, NHL teams, you'll see a young center might be struggling. They don't want to send him down, or maybe they can't. They'll flip him to wing and say, here, learn to play forward at the pace of the NHL. Then when you're ready for the added responsibility of being a center, the two-way play, winning the draws, all that, then maybe we'll shift you back. Some guys never shift back.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? I mean, at that point too, if you're smart enough to play center growing up, you're definitely smart enough to be a winger. And again, a little less responsibility, hone that skill, get ready. I remember my first training camp that I went, I was drafted by Hartford. Mike Keane was our captain with the Moose Jaw Warriors. There's a guy, was a captain, never got drafted, signed with the Montreal Canadiens, went on to be their captain, won a Stanley Cup in Montreal, won a Stanley Cup in Colorado. Everywhere he was a captain, and he undrafted. So, he goes and plays in Montreal his first year. I get drafted. I'm like, Keener, what do I got to do when I go to training camp? He's like, you're a winger. All you got to do is make sure the puck gets out. Whatever you do, make sure the puck gets out. That's your job. Centerman's job is to pick it up on outside the zone. Hopefully you can make a pass, but whatever. But that's all you had. You concentrate on that, you'll be fine.
Game's changed a little bit since then, but
yes, but not really.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah. But ultimately, I get the puck on the wall. You've done your job as a defenseman. Get me the puck. It's my job to make the next play. And whether it's reading and hitting the weak side defenseman, is my centerman there? Is it a chip? Is it a dump? Is it a direct pass? Is it take 2 steps through and hit the weak side winger? Whatever. But and the more you play, the better you are, and actually the higher you go up, the easier you get. And everyone's more disciplined. Everything's tape to tape.
Far more structured.
Well, and structured, and it comes down to, and I say this all the time with our wingers. When we get in trouble, you hold on to the puck. My winger starts stretching. Instead of you passing the puck at the goal line, you take one extra step. And now my winger's in between the top of the circles and the blue line. It's a tough pass. It's a really tough. We're all good enough, but that's a tough pass. If you're at the hash marks, it's going to be on your tape. As soon as you start stretching, more than likely it's going to be in between your stick and your stick, or your stick and your skates, and now there's a chance to bobble it.
Or it's got to be a bank pass, or
right.
something.
So it's all discipline, and everywhere's where they're supposed to be, and it makes it the passer. It makes it easier to complete it, and this and that. So, anyways, just everyone at the end of the day, just do your job, be where you're supposed to be, have discipline to be there. And again, if I'm early, I need to be disciplined and stay there. If I'm late, I need to bust my butt to get back to the hash marks or wherever you're supposed to be. And, it's all that timing. And everybody's at this level for a reason, whether you have the timing, whether you have the discipline, whether you have this or that, you're all here for a reason.
Right.
Anyways.
Yes. All right, Slash, I want to finish with you and the journey.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, this is why the show is fun and entertaining. People learn stuff here. But so on your journey, talk us through about how you went from, maybe your teenage years, the path that set you on becoming a pro hockey player. How did you get here?
So I kind of started taking hockey really seriously probably when I was around 13, 14. My team was one of the better ones in the country, so it kind of just made me want to work that much harder to be able to always play with these guys growing up. And so I ended up quitting baseball and all of the other sports I was playing, and just kind of dedicated myself to hockey. And when I was a senior in high school, I moved away to Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. So I played my U8, my U17 year there, and really enjoyed living away from home, even though you do miss your family and friends. It's just like some sacrifice you have to make if where you want to be at the end of the day. And then so after that year, I moved to New Haven, Connecticut, played for elite hockey program there. Had a great year, got to play against new competition. It was mostly a bunch of split season teams and prep school teams, which was a lot of good kids. I got to play against a lot of current NHLers that are playing today, and so that was a really cool experience. After that, I just really wanted to play Canadian junior hockey, and kind of got the opportunity to, even though playing for a U.S. team, I ended up going to play junior B in the Gouge, which I was fortunate enough to end up getting traded to one of the better teams in the league before playoffs around Christmas time, which was really cool. Growing up, like never had been traded. I know it was more so a bigger thing in Canada, and even in U.S. juniors, you don't see it too often, but in Canadian juniors, you definitely notice it a little more. So no, when a team that was in one of the best teams in the league wanted me, it was kind of a no-brainer. It was they paid a pretty good amount of coin for me, which was a pretty cool feeling to have as a 20-year-old. So then that was actually during COVID, so it kind of screwed everything up. We were in our second round of playoffs and end up having to shut it all down, and which really sucked because we thought we really had the team to go pretty far in that league, and but like everything happens for a reason. And so that summer, I ended up committing to Nichols College in the Boston area with my roommate and juniors. So yeah, we got to go there for a whole year and kind of got toyed with whether if we were gonna have a season or not. We luckily we were supposed to play 8 games, and the whole COVID situation. If one player on your team got COVID, you're done for the weekend. So we ended up only playing 4 games that year, and you just were always second guessing if there was actually gonna ever be a season again or not. So yeah, it kind of was like I ended up giving hockey and school up that summer, and just kind of had my head set on just finding a good job, blue collar job, and ended up talking with a buddy who was signed in Watertown, and he's asked if I wanted to come to main camp, and I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, it'd be a pretty cool experience. I got in touch with the head coach there and talked a little bit, and yeah, no, from there it kind of was daisies and roses. I got to go to Watertown, ended up making the team. There was definitely a big scare though when we were bringing in all these good SP forwards, and I was kind of just trying to stick in the lineup as long as possible. I got scratched the next weekend in Winston-Salem, and we were short a D-man, and our coach kind of just was like, yeah, we need a D. And being the skater I am, and I pride myself in being a good skater, I was like, yeah, I could do it. So yeah, that's when my transition started, and then but yeah, no, that's kind of like the journey I had to where I am today.
Nice. And here you are.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's grab one more break. We're coming up close to the top of the hour here, but we will come right back with more in just a moment. It's the Behind the Bench Coaches Show. All right, back in the Behind the Bench Coaches Show to wrap things up. Nolan Slachetka is this week's player guest, and head coach Jerome Bechard here. So, Boom, I wanted to ask you, because Slash told us his story about being traded in junior. Were you ever traded? What was your experience?
Never been traded.
Never?
Never been traded. Never not made a hockey team.
How did you switch organizations then? How did that work?
I don't know if we have enough time. So Hartford drafted me. They never signed me. LA Kings invited me to training camp. My president of my junior team, his brother was Tom Webster, coach of the LA Kings. Got a tryout. LA camp, sent me to New Haven, got an American League contract. They signed me to another one the following year in New Haven, so that was 2 years in New Haven. Said I'd never play in the East Coast League because it was a beer drinking goon league. And at that point, a buddy, Al Tour, was playing in New Haven with me. He's signed in Cincinnati in the I as a player coach. He's like, go to Birmingham in the East Coast League. I'll have you in Cincy in no time. Went to Birmingham, never went to Cincy. Actually, played 2 games, I think, in Cincinnati and 4 years in Birmingham. Phil Roberto was our head coach our 4th year in Birmingham. Art Clarkson fired Phil Roberto, and I was Joe Pace for 3 games. I was player coach for 3 games. They hired the guy they fired in Cincinnati, Dennis DeRoche, in Birmingham. Played 20 games for him. Said I would never play another game for him because he was calling me out like bad in Lafayette, Louisiana. Came back, finished the year, played another 10 games for him, and in 10 games got 1 shift.
Wow. I thought you were going to say 500 minutes and penalties.
Well, I did have that at that point already. And at that point, knew my career in Birmingham was no longer, and came to Columbus here ever since.
There you go.
So been lucky, fortunate, never been traded, never not made a hockey team. Pretty fortunate.
That's crazy. And you guys were both in New Haven.
Yeah,
I don't know if you knew that or not.
Well, I just heard that. I mean, we lived in Brantford, little.
I know where that is.
Little coast town. We used to practice in East Haven all the time and whatever. So yeah.
That small little rink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the bumblebee on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where
Where did you guys play?
Northford Ice Pavilion. I think it was called something Northford Ice Pavilion. It's wasn't in New Haven. It was in
Medford or something like that.
it was right by Medford. One of those. But yeah, I mean, I technically lived in Cheshire.
Okay.
So not in New Haven, but we were there most of the time.
East Haven, New Haven, Brantford, Milford. I mean, pretty cool.
Besides the arena in New Haven, the only other thing I remember was going by the Yale baseball stadium.
Yeah.
Which was pretty neat.
Yeah, the Nighthawks didn't get along with the Yale folks. The hockey folks and the Ivy League guys, didn't really get along.
Yeah. No, I can understand that.
Yeah, we didn't jive. We didn't jive too well.
I can understand that, absolutely. So, well, guys, we have exactly 2.5 minutes to talk about Baton Rouge coming to town, Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, I thought we were playing Mississippi, to be honest with you. But, I mean, they're similar teams. They're similar. They both play the same kind of style. They stretch, again, the only kind of changes I think they've made is they got Bazzer in there. I mean, I think that's really the only guy that we haven't played since there. I mean, got to keep your head on a swivel. He's going to hit. He's just a bigger version of Schnapp that will do some damage. Schnapp probably isn't going to do anything to you, but Bazzer will. So got to keep our head on a swivel and eyes open and make him a non-factor in the game.
Slash, what stands out for you with those guys? You've seen them a couple times.
Yeah, no, I mean, not playing them in a while. It's got to probably be probably might have to feel them out for a second or two. But then, yeah, I think we're ready, and I think we're ready to dominate this weekend.
I love it. Friday night is Boomer's favorite night of the year. It's ladies' night. And then Saturday is hometown.
So I'm going to have to dress up, I guess.
You are.
Okay.
You gotta be styling and profiling.
Can you scratch me that game?
He's like, I want to be the autograph that game. I want to be other. But it is ladies' night on Friday, and it's hometown heroes night. So first responders, not only do you get a deal at the box office with your ID, but also you get 10% off merchandise that night with your ID. And it's all, first responders, firemen, police, EMS, everybody. It's just our way to say thank you. So we really appreciate it. So, well, guys, we have reached the end of another show. Thank you for coming in.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, it's same old, same old. Slash, thanks for coming, man.
See you guys at the rink. Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I like this a lot.
First ever overtime winner for Nolan Slachetka.
Yes, it was.
Attaboy.
Yeah, he wouldn't have had to do that if he didn't give up the first one.
Well, that's why he did it. That's why he did
Yeah,
it.
no, I wanted my goal.
There you go.
My OT win.
All right, we'll talk to everybody next week. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Behind the Bench Coaches Show.